Welcome to our anatomy series, Peritoneum Part 2.
So, as we all know, peritoneum is a serous membrane that lines the abdominal cavity and covers all the organs. And it is extremely rich in blood and the lymphatic vessels, as it is especially abundant in the peritoneum that is present in the small pelvis and the diaphragm. So, the ligaments of the peritoneum are the areas of the peritoneum from which the parietal layer passes the visceral layer, or visceral layer passes from one organ to another. There are such formations which are named as the coronary ligament and the falciform ligament. These are the ligaments of the liver and which helps the liver to connect to the diaphragm.
Now coming on the topic, lesser omentum. This is a fold of peritoneum which extends from the liver to the lesser curvature of the stomach and the first 2 cm of the duodenum. And the portion of the lesser omentum which extends from the stomach to the liver is known as the hepatogastric ligament, and another portion which extends from the duodenum and to the liver, this is known as the hepatoduodenal ligament. And it has a right free margin behind which there is a foramen which is named as epiploic foramen. The lesser sac and the greater sac communicates through this foramen. So now moving forward towards the contents of the lesser omentum. So the right free margin of the lesser omentum contains hepatic artery proper, portal vein, bile duct and lymph nodes and lymphatics, and the hepatic plexus of the nerves. While the along the lesser curvature of the stomach and along the upper border of the adjoining part of the duodenum, it contains right gastric vessels, left gastric vessels, gastric group of lymph nodes and lymphatics, and the last is the branches of the gastric nerves.
Moving forward, now we have the greater omentum. Greater omentum is a large fold of peritoneum that hangs down from the greater curvature of the stomach and covers the loop of intestine to a varying extent. So it is composed of the 4 layers of the peritoneum, and these 4 layers basically fuse together to form a fenestrated membrane, and that membrane generally stores fat, small arteries and the veins. Now moving forward to the attachment, it has 2 layers, the anterior and the posterior layers. So in formation of the posterior layer, there is a twist how it is formed. So the anterior 2 layers descend from the greater curvature of the stomach and folds themselves to form the 2 posterior layers. Now these 2 posterior layers ascends to the anterior surface of the head of the pancreas and the anterior border of the body of the pancreas. Now how the folding of omentum forms the posterior 2 layers. So the first layer generally after folding forms the 4th layer, where the second layer forms the 3rd layer of the peritoneum. After this, the 4th layer partially fused to the anterior surface of the transverse colon.
Moving forward to our next topic, that is mesentery. It is a fold of 2 layers of peritoneum by which the small intestine is connected to the posterior abdominal wall. The edge through which it is connected to the posterior abdominal wall is called as the posterior edge of mesentery, or the root of the mesentery, or the radix mesenteric, that is short as compared to its free edge, that is approximately equal to the length of jejunum and ileum. Now moving forward, it's the line of attachment of the root of mesentery. It runs obliquely from the left side of the second lumbar vertebra to the right sacroiliac fossa, but by the time of birth it runs vertically, but as per the process of embryogenesis, it gets converted from vertical to the oblique due to the growth of surrounding tissues and organs. Then along this course it passes through 5 parts, that are inferior vena cava, aorta, final section of duodenum, right ureter and south major muscle. Then in the thickness of the mesentery there is a deposition of greater cellulose, lesser amount of fatty tissues present, and between these 2 serous layers there is a presence of blood vessels, lymphatics and nerves.
So now I'll be telling about the upper floor of abdominal cavity. Upper floor of peritoneal cavity is divided into 3 bursae: bursa hepatica, bursa pregastrica and bursa omentalis. I'll start with bursa hepatica. Bursa hepatica covers the right lobe of the liver and is separated from bursa pregastrica by falciform ligament, and behind it, it is separated or limited by coronary ligament. The second one is the bursa pregastrica, which envelops left lobe of the liver and anterior surface of stomach and spleen, and along with it, posterior edge of left lobe of liver runs the left part of coronary ligament. And other than that, the spleen is covered on all sides, but from the gates it is covered by peritoneum. From spleen to stomach it is known as gastrosplenic ligament, and from spleen to diaphragm it is known as phrenico-splenic ligament. Now I'll tell you about the bursa omentalis. Bursa omentalis lies behind the stomach, and lesser omentum, which is cavity of bursa omentalis, communicates with peritoneal cavity by epiploic foramen, or you can say the foramen of Winslow. Now, boundaries of bursa oumentalis. So boundaries of bursa oumentalis are basically from the four parts: anterior, posterior, superior and inferior. So from the anterior part or anterior point of view, it is lesser omentum and stomach. From posterior or from the behind the part, it is also known, it is pancreas. And from the superior part, it is caudate lobe of liver. And from the last inferior part, it is transverse mesocolon. So boundaries of bursa oumentalis. There are four different type of boundaries: anterior, posterior, inferior and superior, in which anteriorly lesser omentum and stomach lies. From the posterior part, the pancreas lies, and the superior one covers the caudate lobe of liver, while from the inferior part, the transverse mesocolon is present. Boundaries of omental foramen. It comprises of four parts: anterior, posterior, superior and inferiorly, in which anterior covers free edge of lesser omentum, hepatoduodenal ligament, common bile duct, and hepatic artery proper, and portal vein. The second one is the posterior part, which covers peritoneum, covering inferior vena cava. The superiorly, it covers peritoneum, covering lower margins of caudate lobe of liver. And the last one, inferior part, which covers the peritoneum, covering the commencement of D1, which is first part of the duodenum, and hepatic artery proper.
So now let's talk about the middle floor of the abdominal cavity. Imagine lifting up the greater omentum and the transverse colon. The region you see in between is the middle floor of the abdominal cavity. So what are the boundaries of this middle floor of the abdominal cavity? The ascending colon and the descending colon on the sides, whereas the mesentery of small intestine in the middle acts as the boundaries of this middle floor of the abdominal cavity. So this mesentery of small intestine again divides this section into four parts: the right lateral canals and the left lateral canals. Then this mesentery of small intestine also forms two mesenteric sinuses, the right mesenteric sinus and the left mesenteric sinus. Further moving on the posterior parietal layer of the peritoneum, there are a variety of peritoneal pits seen, which may be of the clinical significance, as they may be the site for formation of the retroperitoneal hernias. So now let's start about the lower floor of the abdominal cavity. While descending into the pelvic cavity, the peritoneum covers all the walls and organs of the pelvic cavity, even the genitourinary organs. So here the relationship of the peritoneum with the organs mainly depends on the gender. Now to talk about the important part which may be helpful for you in your exams. The pelvic section of the sigmoid colon and the initial part of the rectum is covered by peritoneum from all the sides. Hence it is said to be intraperitoneally covered. Secondly, the middle section of the rectum is covered only from two sides, that is from the anterior side and the lateral side. Hence it is said to be mesoperitoneally covered by the peritoneum. Lastly, the last part of the rectum that is not covered by the peritoneum. Hence, it is called to be extraperitoneally covered by the peritoneum. So now we will talk about the gender difference. In men, the peritoneum forms the rectovesical pouch behind the urinary bladder, whereas in the woman, the uterus forms two peritoneal pouches, that are the rectouterine pouch and the vesicouterine pouch. Lastly, we will talk about the vascularization and the nerve innervation. So the parietal peritoneum receives its vascularization and nerve innervation from the parietal vessels and the nerves, whereas the visceral peritoneum receives its vascularization and nerve innervation from the vessels and nerves that are branching from the organs that the peritoneum covers.